A Trump-backed populist just took power in Poland, and the EU is bracing. Karol Nawrocki, a nationalist outsider and MAGA ally, has been sworn in as president. His victory over liberal forces could throw Poland into gridlock and reshape its role in Europe. Nawrocki is promising Poland first, but critics warn his past is full of scandals, and his future may bring a constitutional crisis. Karol Nawrocki, a conservative historian with close ties to Donald Trump's MAGA movement, was sworn in on August 6th as Poland's new president, ushering in a period of political turbulence and potential constitutional deadlock. His narrow victory in the June presidential runoff against Liberal Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski was a stunning blow to Prime Minister Donald Tusk's centrist coalition, which had hoped to reset Poland's course towards the European mainstream after years of friction with Brussels. Backed by the nationalist Law and Justice, or the PIS party, Nawrocki was inaugurated during a solemn ceremony in the Polish parliament. The 42-year-old succeeds fellow nationalist Andrzej Duda and inherits sweeping veto powers that could allow him to stall the Tusk government's legislative agenda, including reversing controversial judicial reforms. A political newcomer and former head of the Institute of National Remembrance, Nawrocki has positioned himself as a staunch nationalist, emphasizing Catholic values, Polish sovereignty, and skepticism of the European Union. Nawrocki's campaign slogan, Poland First, echoed broader right-wing populist movements across Europe. In his inaugural speech, Nawrocki made clear he would be a president of sovereign values, opposing illegal immigration and Poland's potential adoption of the euro.
In this plan, I reaffirm my unwavering support for all national initiatives. Through my decisions, I will work to ensure that Poland remains an ambitious state, one that champions development and drives forward transformative projects such as the Central Communication Port, Polish roads, and Polish ports. The program I intend to implement is one of sustainable development for the Polish state. We are all rooted in Polish towns and villages. There is no Poland A or Poland B, and this fundamental truth will remain unchanged throughout the next 5 years of my presidency. Plan 21 and the broader vision it represents stands firm. No to illegal migration, yes to the Polish identity, and no to the euro.
Positioning himself as a defender of national identity, he pledged to be the voice of Poles who want to remain in the EU, but on their own terms.
I will be the voice of those who believe in a sovereign Poland, a Poland that is part of the European Union, but not defined by it, a Poland that remains Poland, independent, distinct, and proud. In dialogue with the Polish government, in my decisions, and on the international stage, I will support diplomatic relations within the European Union, but I will never consent to the EU stripping Poland of its competencies, especially in areas not explicitly outlined in the European treaties, and those treaties must not change. I will speak for citizens who seek sovereignty. I will be the voice of those who want a secure Poland, because Poland's security begins with every rank and file soldier, from their equipment and preparedness to their resilience, spirit, and dedication. I will be the voice of Polish soldiers and officers.
On foreign policy, Nawrocki reaffirmed his commitment to Poland's alliance with Washington, while noticeably omitting any direct reference to Ukraine, a decision likely to raise concern in Kyiv and Brussels.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will also naturally reach out to our partners in the United States. I will uphold Poland's most important alliances, chief among them, our bilateral partnership with the United States. I will also safeguard Poland's standing within the North Atlantic Alliance.
With Donald Tusk leading a fragile centrist government, Nawrocki's election threatens to ignite years of institutional gridlock. His veto powers, combined with his ability to introduce legislation, could freeze much of Tusk's agenda, including rolling back PS-era judicial reforms that Brussels considers a breach of the rule of law. Nawrocki has already vowed to block any laws he sees as altering Poland's national identity or ceding sovereignty to the EU. His presidency may further delay reforms on abortion, LGBTQ+ rights, and judicial independence. The tension is already apparent. Tusk has warned that Nawrocki could act as a political saboteur. The government is preparing to confront presidential resistance head-on.
I will not allow Mr. Nawrocki, once he's sworn in as president, to politically sabotage the government. We both realize that it is in the best interest of everyone in Poland that state institutions, whether they like each other or not, must cooperate on key issues.
Nonetheless, both leaders have expressed the need to cooperate on defense and security, particularly with war still raging in neighboring Ukraine.
Assuming the office of the President of the Republic of Poland by the will of the nation, I solemnly swear to faithfully uphold the provisions of the Constitution, to steadfastly protect the dignity of the nation, the independence and security of the state, and to make the good of the homeland and the prosperity of its citizens my highest priority. So help me God.
However, analysts warn that the deep divide may force voters in the 2027 general election to choose between continued obstruction or a unified right-wing rule.
The next election will essentially hinge around the question of whether it's better to have a government with a president that can facilitate it, or whether it's better to ensure that we don't have a return to 2015-2023, where both sides of the executive were essentially complicit in democratic backsliding.
Karol Nawrocki's rise to Poland's presidency has been clouded by a swirl of controversies, spanning from the odd to the potentially incriminating, casting a long shadow over his 5-year term before it has properly begun. Among the most serious is an ongoing investigation into whether Nawrocki fraudulently acquired an apartment in Gdansk from an elderly man in exchange for promised care he allegedly failed to provide. The probe was prompted by formal complaints, including from the city's Liberal mayor. However, as president, Nawrocki now enjoys full immunity from prosecution for the duration of his term. Arguably, the most damaging accusation relates to claims that Nawrocki was involved in arranging prostitutes at a luxury hotel in Sopot during his earlier work in security. Poland's leading news site, Onet, published testimony supporting the claim. Nawrocki has denied all allegations and is suing the outlet for defamation. Another scandal stems from Nawrocki's own admission that he took part in a violent street brawl between football hooligans in 2009, which he downplayed as consensual sparring. While the revelation fits the rugged image Nawrocki has cultivated as an amateur boxer, opposition leaders criticized the conduct as unbecoming of a future head of state.
When I sparred with someone, let me stress, always with willing participants, I never ran a background check or asked for their criminal record. It's entirely possible that some of them had done bad things, but that doesn't mean their actions reflect on me in any way.
Separately, authorities are investigating Nawrocki's use of a deluxe apartment at the Museum of the Second World War during his tenure as director. Reports suggest he stayed there for over 200 days without paying rent, despite owning a home just 5 kilometers away. Further scrutiny surrounds the mysterious disappearance of more than 8,000 historical albums under his watch at the same museum, an incident that reportedly caused over 200,000 zloty in losses. The matter remains under investigation. Adding an unusual twist to the catalogue of controversies is what Polish media dubbed the alter ego scandal. Nawrocki was discovered to have given a public interview under the alias Tadeusz Batia, in which he lavished praise on himself. The president defended the stunt, calling it a literary device rather than deception. The inauguration itself was not without drama. Former President Lech Wałęsa pointedly refused to attend the ceremony, calling it a disgraceful spectacle. As Nawrocki assumes office, Poland appears poised on a knife edge, caught between cooperation and confrontation, EU integration, and right-wing isolationism. With a deeply polarising figure now wielding presidential powers, the political turbulence is unlikely to settle anytime soon.